Honourable Assistant Minister.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker, and I'm very pleased to be speaking on this free TAFE bill today. And I'm especially pleased to be speaking on it today of all days because in New South Wales, in my state, we see the start of Semester 1 2025, which is today. So it is a day to be celebrating TAFE and all that it provides, and also to be speaking on this really important bill in terms of how committed our government is, the Albanese Labor government, to providing fee-free TAFE and the difference that it's making in the lives of so many Australians. Now, Deputy Speaker, this bill, the Fee-Free TAFE Bill 2024, provides the ongoing financial support to states and territories for the delivery of fee-free TAFE places. It ensures that's in place and supports the delivery of at least 100,000 places across Australia each year from 2027. And what it really does is reaffirms our government's commitment to putting TAFE right at the heart of vocational education and training, and we understand how important that is. And this also removes those financial barriers to education and training, particularly for those people experiencing economic disadvantage. And, very especially, it supports education and training in areas of high workforce demand with emerging skill needs that really are a national priority. And can I add, Deputy Speaker, that across the nation this is a game changer, but especially in regional and rural areas like mine, my electorate of Richmond on the New South Wales North Coast, having such a policy in place has made such a difference. There are approximately 5,000 people who have had access to fee-free TAFE since this was brought in, and I've met many of those students and they've talked about how it has been life-changing. They couldn't afford to go to TAFE without this in place. They are getting the necessary skills to work in much-needed sectors. And often in regional and rural areas there are impediments to gaining access to further training, and that's exactly why we have this in place, so people can get that access. And of course in my region too we have a series of outstanding TAFE facilities, indeed as they are right across the country, and I visited all of those, many of those. We've particularly got ones at Kingscliff, Byron, Ballina and Moolumbar, and they're very new ones, particularly in Byron Bay. It's great having that there and speaking to a lot of those students and hearing what a difference it makes in their lives shows how important it is to have a Labor government in place delivering all of these important changes. And we have always been committed, Labor's always committed to investing in the skills that our nation needs to drive economic growth. It's vitally important. And we're also committed to making sure no one is left behind and holding nobody back as our economy transitions. And indeed, fee-free TAFE has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of Australians, providing that cost of living relief and a pathway to well-paid and secured employment. And in fact, in the first 18 months of fee-free TAFE, there have been nearly, as we heard the Minister say today, nearly 600,000 enrolments. That huge number across the nation, and this bill does establish that ongoing relief by removing those financial barriers to education and training, and it really does also ensure that free TAFE continues to deliver a coordinated response to those pipeline of skilled workers that our nation needs now and into the future. Now, we have a responsibility to help people here and now when it comes to training, and we do owe our duty to the next generation to build an economy. And that really does start with education for all. Every Australian, no matter where they live, their background is or their financial situation, they should be able to access education. And we believe in equal opportunity. By making TAFE free, we're removing that financial barrier. And the fact is our whole nation benefits in terms of the economic growth and as well as the individual's capacity to get that secure employment. And the cost of inaction, of course, is so much higher. Failing to invest in skilling up our people will leave so many industries and so many businesses stranded and so many people left out of fulfilling their full potential as well. And we are, across so many levels, committed to delivering on skills development. The fact is, TAFE is at the heart of VET, or vocational education and training, and you can't have a strong VET sector without strong public TAFE at its heart. And TAFEs are very valued and trusted public institutions and have a long history of delivering training in the public interest and working to meet so many goals that our nation needs. And this is some of the TAFEs in my community, and of course they're in every community across the country, and every Australian deserves to access them. And in fact, a Labor government will never ever consider fee-free TAFE wasteful spending, as we heard from the Deputy Opposition Leader. And it really says it all about the Liberals and Nationals' approach to public education, or indeed any great services, in this case public education. They don't understand it, don't value it, don't care about it, don't invest in it. We certainly do. We understand its worth. And of course, our government, by making all these strong commitments, is reversing a lot of the damage that we saw from the previous Liberal National government, the damage over a decade. We are rebuilding TAFEs for communities across the nation. We did make that landmark $30 billion 5-year national skills agreement, and we're also taking other actions, going after dodgy providers so that quality providers can in fact do all of their work properly. And of course, as we've pointed out many times in this House, the risk of the Opposition Leader and the Liberals and Nationals getting into government is that people will be worse off. And in one of those ways they'll be worse off will of course be the inevitable cuts we will see yet again to TAFE. Whenever they are in government, one of the first things they do is just absolutely slash all that funding for TAFEs and vet training as well. We know that'll happen again. We know they've got $350 billion claiming they'll be making cuts across the board, whether it's Medicare, age pensions, TAFE training. It will be catastrophic for our nation. And of course, the Opposition Leader told us the other day in an interview that they're not going to announce any of these cuts till after the election, but Australians know that they would be so much worse off and cannot risk a Liberal National government. And we have at every turn when they have been in government fought their harsh cuts to TAFE, and when we have been in government we have invested record amounts to make sure that people can absolutely access all of these important services. And as I say, meeting particularly younger people every day who are at TAFE and training, or older people going back to reskill, it is life-changing for them. And indeed, I would like to note as well, again, as I said, today was the start of Semester 1 2025, and in my electorate of Richmond on the New South Wales North Coast, we're very pleased to have the New South Wales Minister for Skills, TAFE and Tertiary Education, Steve Won, was up there. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there this time. Minister Won has been up to the North Coast many times, and I visited a number of TAFEs with him, and I know he and the Minns State Labor Government are equally committed to ensuring that provisions are made for our TAFEs. And in fact, Minister Won was there today announcing the introduction of the new TAFE New South Wales Charter, which is a great idea. It lets the people of New South Wales know what they should expect from TAFE as the provider at the heart of vocational training, and the Charter reflects TAFE New South Wales as an important public asset, a community space, industry partner and leader of educational quality and innovation within the broader vet sector. And so I congratulate the New South Wales Government on making that announcement and making it in my electorate today as well, which I was very pleased about, and thank the Minister for coming to make that announcement there. And in fact, he made it at the TAFE in Kingscliff, which is an outstanding institution. In fact, there's $33 million of government investment in upgrading that particular facility. They also have one of the TAFE call centres there, so it is a huge institution providing a whole range of really good services, and that investment at $33 million includes a new learning space for health services students, which is equally important as well. So, Deputy Speaker, there are a whole range of initiatives that our government has when it comes to training and when it comes to supporting younger Australians as well, particularly when we look at HECS and those higher education contributions. We saw here last year in this House we passed legislation to wipe $3 billion of student debt for 3 million Australians. And again, I know locally so many people have had those cuts to their HECS debts, and it's made a huge difference. And of course that's all part of a broader measure of many of our cost of living relief measures. We know people are doing it tough, and we know many people with these HECS debts are of course doing it tough. So many people received that good news that legislation that we passed last year fixed the way that indexation was being calculated on student debt, and so many people were able to have that cut from their debt as well. And of course course, we did announce late last year as well that a re-elected Albanese government would in fact be wiping 20% of student loans, and also at the same time announcing that we'd be making fee-free TAFE permanent. Having that 20% of those student loans, of those HECS debts, is a huge benefit to so many students right across the nation, again, particularly those in regional and rural areas. And again, we are committed to doing that if we are re-elected. And again, I present the alternative with the Liberals and Nationals, who didn't support any of that. They don't support any of our cost of living measures, and on top of all that, we'll be cutting many important training initiatives as well. So we have announced a whole range of measures, including also the $10,000 for those apprentices. So right across the board in terms of training, we're investing a lot. We're assisting those students with those HECS debts as well, because we really value education, and that's why we have this in place, and it's why we made those commitments leading up to the election as well. And of course, they are all part of a broader suite of measures that we have worked on and delivered when it comes to cost of living relief. We understand that people are doing it tough. It is hard, and that's why we've had all these in place. And I will point out that every single one of those measures was opposed by the Liberals and Nationals. And they have to go and explain to people in their community why they oppose, like a tax cut for every taxpayer. In my region, that's 71,000 people who've benefited from that. It's vitally important. And we also had the $300 energy bill relief. So important for people to have that energy bill relief, and of course opposed by those opposite. And we also have cheaper childcare and cheaper medicines that are helping people every day, and fee-free TAFE, of course, I've said, which is absolutely vital. So all of those particular measures means that we're helping Australians right now. We understand they're doing it tough. And as we also have the situation too where we've seen, of course, the increase in wages, and we, of course, committed and delivered particularly that increase in wages for our aged care and our childcare workers, who are so valued, and again all opposed by those opposite. All of those cost of living measures opposed, and again that's the risk that we often say to people, that that's the risk the Liberals and Nationals pose to the fact that people will be a lot worse off if they were to ever be in government again, in terms of just looking at their record and opposing vital cost of living relief, whereas we on the Labor side are absolutely committed to making sure that's in place. And in this instance and in this bill, of course, it all revolves around the fee-free TAFE and the difference that it makes. And again, the take-up rate of that is absolutely phenomenal. As I say, 5,000 people in my electorate is absolutely huge. There would not be anyone who isn't aware or touched by this, whether it be the student or their families or their friends. People often talk about how it has transformed someone's life, being able to access that fee-free TAFE. And again, that is one of our very core election commitments in terms of making sure that people can access that. We have to make sure that also the HECS debts, having that 20% cut to them, is really important as well. And we're very proud to yet again be investing in education, investing in training and investing in skills. And as much as that is life-changing for individuals and their families and communities in terms of our nation's economic prosperity, we desperately need to have all these workers. So it is a win-win all round. So it's only Labor governments that continue to invest in the building, the training and skills for workers now and into the future, whilst also ensuring that our economy has an incredibly skilled workforce to meet the demands of now and into the future. And it is only Labor that consistently delivers increases in training and education right across the board. And Deputy Speaker, I very proudly commend this bill to the House.